Okay, so now we have Dr. Heide here from Audible Differences. And amazing, amazing topic. I think we've all had to turn our TV up a little louder or ask somebody, can you repeat it or what have you. So how about a warm welcome and let's be all ears for Dr. Veronica Heide.
Oh, thank you so much, Janice. Okay, welcome to everybody that's here and celebrating a wonderful day because it's beautiful outside. And it's spring, and it's time to get in shape, right? So we're going to try and get in shape with our ears. So what are the things you need to think about when you're thinking about getting in shape? The key components of your success on that journey are, number one, see an audiologist who understands your abilities and challenges, and they'll recommend the right solutions for you to hear. Try amplification that compensates for your hearing loss. Auditory training, so we want to train your ear to hear better. And also how to communicate with our spouses and friends. That takes some training too. In addition, healthy habits such as not being around loud noise or wearing ear protection when you are, eating good food like you have served to you today, and a healthy body all nourish the inner ear for hearing. So how do you appear to hear? Is it the gentleman on your left or on the right? How do you appear to others? And why should I care? Well, hearing loss allows us to participate, engage in social activities like the ones here today. Make sure that you're safe, that you can hear the water running, that you can hear your smoke alarms, that you can hear the backup signal in your car. Hearing loss can contribute to a loss of loneliness and feeling that you're by yourself, and that impacts your mental health. And there's a link between hearing loss and cognitive function and decline. So make it a point to address all of these issues in taking care of your hearing. I've heard a lot of excuses in my practice. The first one is, well, my hearing's fine. If others would just speak up and enunciate, I wouldn't have a problem. Well, hearing loss occurs very gradually, so others around you are often more aware of trouble hearing than the individual with the beginning hearing loss. How about hearing loss is no big deal. I just turn up the TV and I hear just fine. But everything is relative because what's just fine to you may be blasting your neighbors and family out of the room. Oh, hearing aids will make me look old. But asking to repeat, saying, what? And is that more noticeable than a hearing aid? Of course, it intrudes on the conversation, doesn't it? I'm too young to have hearing loss. And I hear that often. But hearing aids are worn by infants, young children, teenagers, adults, and seniors. So they're not just for us as we get older, although hearing loss is more common as we get older. So progressive hearing loss. Hearing loss typically happens slowly over time. And what happens is it starts to strain the brain because the brain isn't getting a good, clear signal anymore. And that accelerates the cells in the brain from connecting to the ear. It also hinders intellectual growth and also intellectual stimulation. So it's more than just, I can't hear. Look at all the conditions on this slide. Parkinson's, cognitive decline, Alzheimer's, heart health, balance, osteoporosis, diabetes, hypertension, isolation. All of these factors are related to poor hearing. So what happens when hearing loss goes untreated? Studies have linked untreated hearing loss to being a little irritable and angry, being tired because it's hard work when you can't hear. It's a lot of energy you spend trying to hear. Avoiding situations, depression, feeling rejected, lonely, reduced alertness. Sometimes when you don't hear, you probably have friends that just kind of fade away from the conversation. They're not participating because they're not engaged because they can't hear. Impaired memory, reduced job performance and earning power, and diminished psychological and overall health. All of these are untreated hearing loss consequences. All right, so here's a quiz question for you. So on average, hearing aid users wait how many years after they know they have a hearing loss to be fit with their first set of hearing aids?
3.
10.
The answer is 10 years. Can you imagine needing glasses and waiting 10 years to get them? So the answer is, first step, see an audiologist. So an audiologist or doctor of audiology has completed 4 postgraduate years of education, including a clinical rotation. And that is the professional that you want to see to get an accurate diagnosis, to find your options for treatment. So that is your first step. Then pull out your health insurance and find out who your in-network audiologists are, and then make an appointment. Those appointments take about 6 months because seeing a specialist takes time, but it's worth it to get accurate and good information. Many people ask me, what's the difference between a hearing instrument specialist and an audiologist? Well, they both sell hearing aids, and what's the difference? The difference is quite a bit, but mostly having to do with the professional level of education and training. So while hearing instrument specialists are an important part of our lives, they don't have the same education and training as an audiologist. To be a hearing aid salesman, all you have to have is a high school education and pass a state exam. So again, your training is a big difference. So when you see a doctor of audiology, they'll look in your ear and perform a lot of tests. They want to look at your outer ear, your middle ear, your inner ear, and really find out, where are you having the problem? What's the cause of your hearing loss? Do you need to visit an ear, nose, and throat physician? Do you have a medical problem? Are you having balance problems with your hearing loss? Can you diagnose a problem yourself? There's so many things online about testing your hearing by yourself. So this study really wanted to know if individuals could self-diagnose their hearing loss. Could they identify the need for medical evaluation? And could they self-select and manage an effective treatment option? So there were 29 participants who reported having either a mild to moderate hearing loss. So of those 29 participants who said they self-identified that they had mild to moderate hearing loss, 3 of them had no hearing loss. 1 participant had normal hearing, but thought they had a moderate loss. 11 had hearing loss that was more severe than they thought. And only 2 participants with mild loss correctly identified the degree of actual loss. So the answer to the question is no. You cannot accurately self-diagnose your hearing problem. There's a risk of missing medical problems. Obviously, you can't see inside your own ear. So how will you know if you have a hole in your eardrum, or drainage from your ear, or wax in your ear? Well, you won't. And that's the important step, is to make sure that you see a medical professional to look in your ear. So again, encourage someone to see a licensed audiologist. What does Medicare cover? Medicare will cover the initial diagnostic testing, So if you have Medicare or a Medicare Advantage plan, then you should be covered for that visit to an audiologist. Medicare, however, does not cover any services provided for the purpose of hearing aid fitting and evaluation, regardless of how they're billed. But if the physician refers you, or if the initial reason for a visit is to determine whether you have a hearing loss or what the extent of the loss is, then Medicare will cover that visit. This cartoon says, you can't list your iPhone as your primary care provider. The second step is to try to get the right kind of amplification. In this slide, it says, a wrong hearing aid is like ordering the wrong pizza. You might get something edible, but you're probably missing out on the real flavor of the cure. So technology has lots of offerings these days, and it's kind of hard to figure out. There are 3 categories, including the 4th one, which is prescription hearing aids. So personal sound amplifiers, smartphone amplification apps, over-the-counter hearing aids, and then prescription hearing aids. Well, what's the difference? Well, the difference may harm or help your hearing. They measured several of the personal sound amplifiers, and some of them had sound outputs as high as 125 dB. That's a jet plane. So in other words, they're amplifying sound, but they're amplifying loud and soft sound. So it can actually hurt your hearing if you don't have the right amplification for you. Over-the-counter hearing aids were brought into existence in August of 2017 when President Trump signed the FDA Reauthorization Act of 2017 to include over-the-counter hearing aids for adults over 18 or over. They're designed to meet hearing requirements of individuals with mild to moderate loss, and they're available in stores, online, and it doesn't require an exam or prescription from an audiologist. So basically, they're do-it-yourself hearing aid. This slide is rather complicated, but I'll provide it in the slides online. It basically talks about the differences between over-the-counter and prescription. Durability and cost. So if you're looking at purchasing a hearing aid, the things you want to find out: is there a trial period? Can you return it if it doesn't work? What is the price? Is that for 1 or for 2? Can I use my health insurance or my FSA to purchase an over-the-counter? Is there coverage for repairs? How about accidental loss or damage? How do I get it repaired if it stops working? Does it come with different size earpieces? Is it water resistant? Will it provide enough for me to hear the way I should? And do I have any allergies that might make me unable to wear a device? And can I put it in my ear on my own? And what cleaning and maintenance are required? All of these are things that you as a consumer would have to understand individually, whereas an audiologist would actually guide you through all of this information and help you choose the right one for you. Ease of function. Most all of the over-the-counter hearing aids require you to use an app. So if you're not good with technology, the over-the-counter hearing aids are probably not a good choice for you just for that alone. There was a study that looked at hearing aids that were fitted by individuals versus professionals, and the basic end result is less than half of those that fit themselves were satisfied with the outcome, and 1 in 4 stopped using their over-the-counter hearing aids. Even though they saved a lot of money, they didn't get something that was helpful to them or met their needs. You've heard probably a lot of noise about the Apple AirPod Pro 2 as a hearing enhancement device. You can use the earphones to assist your hearing. You can put in your own hearing test from your audiologist, and it compensates somewhat for a mild hearing loss. You can look online for this review. Hearing Tracker is a good place to look for reviews of different hearing aid technologies. And these AirPods typically provide a little enhancement for speech, but not as good performance as prescription hearing aids. So again, they were designed for music and streaming from phones. They really weren't designed to be a hearing aid in the beginning. So what about these prescription hearing aids? These are many factors that audiologists and you would look at as you evaluate what's right for you. What does it look like? What's my lifestyle? Am I somebody who's on my bike, on the bike trails 8 hours a day? Am I sitting at home just watching TV? How about my vision? Can I see the tiny batteries that are required to insert into the hearing aid? Do I need rechargeable batteries? Dexterity, how can I use the telephone effectively? Do I need to make adjustments? If so, can I handle that? And the cost. So there are many different solutions, and this is just one way to describe solutions that might meet your lifestyle. So if you have a rather quiet lifestyle, a hearing aid doesn't need to do as much to adjust, and therefore could cost less money for a basic hearing aid. Whereas if your lifestyle is very busy and you're out and about doing things with people all the time, in meetings and groups, then you may need a hearing aid that adjusts automatically in more situations. So hearing aids may look the same on the outside, but it's what's inside that counts. So in prescription hearing aids, they do lots of different things, and the audiologist can decide, well, what things would be the right things for you? Voice detection, pattern recognition, high resolution frequency shaping, loudness control, blocking echo, super zoom directional focus, feedback suppression so your hearing aids don't squeal, and looking at something that provides, again, the right prescription for you. So again, it may look like somebody else's hearing aid, but what's actually happening for that individual will be very personal and individualized. This is one example that I really like to share. So this is called digital frequency compression. So sometimes people have a hearing loss where they don't hear the high frequency sounds at all. So what the hearing aid does is it takes the high frequency noise, which is on the left side of the screen at the top. You see just some little bits of noise here. And it moves that information down into a low frequency region where the individual can hear. Again, that's a recipe that the audiologist can choose inside a prescription hearing aid to help someone with a specific need or hearing problem. And finally, it doesn't help if you have great hearing aids if you never clean them. So cleaning hearing aids are very important, and there are 5 easy steps listed here. Obviously, wipe them off every day, clean them with a little brush, use the wax filters and make sure you replace them once a month at least, and store them in a dehumidifier or dryer so that, again, they continue to sound really clear. Assistive devices are companions to hearing aids. They pick up sound and stream it over a long distance. So that little microphone can be used at a table to help improve ability to hear at a distance, in a noisy place, or in a group like a book club or a reading club. Hearing aids also connect to a lot of things these days. They connect to phones, computers, anything you can think of that streams audio, hearing aids can be paired to and connect to. Some hearing aids are made specifically for the Apple iPhone and even can talk to the watch. There are many solutions for the telephone. They talked about the caption phone. So as somebody makes a landline call, they can see the words typed out to read what the person is saying. You can also get caption call for your iPad or iPhone. So if you have a mobile device, you can use the captioning on your iPhone as well. So lots of solutions for the phone. And then there are also solutions for the theater. So even if you don't have a hearing aid, if you go to a church or a theater, you can ask for the wireless headphones, and they bring the sound of the person's voice right from the stage, right to your ears. Why is that important? It gives you clarity. So it's not about volume, it's about clarity. Many churches have these devices available, and many are connected to what are called hearing loops. So a loop is put into the floor under the carpet, and when you go into that environment, to the church or the theater, you just push a button on your hearing aid and you're connected to the audio signal. Rechargeable battery options are available, but they're not without their drawbacks. If you have significant hearing loss and the power goes out and you can't recharge your hearing aid battery and you can't hear, that's scary. So some of my patients with significant hearing loss who can't hear without their hearing aids, it's rare that we would address that with rechargeable options. Whereas someone who only has a mild hearing loss and the power went out and they couldn't recharge their hearing aid, it might not be as critical. Hearing aids also connected to apps can do a lot of other things. They can track your fitness. They can tell how many hours you're using your hearing aid. They can even translate different languages and detect if you've fallen. So if you're wearing your hearing aids and you fall, the app will send a message to whomever you designated, and someone has fallen. And they may send a message back saying, I'm okay, or maybe I need to get help, and you either come over and help me or call 911. Artificial intelligence is a big buzzword these days, and machine learning is used inside the apps and hearing aids that are available these days. It helps improve performance in difficult environments. There are also surgically implantable devices like bone-anchored hearing aids, middle ear implants, cochlear implants, and even brainstem implants. And again, your audiologist would know if you are a candidate for these devices. Step number 3, once you have your hearing aids, you want to do some training. Just like when you get your knee replaced, you want to do some physical therapy. So when your hearing nerve no longer sends robust signals to the brain forgets what the sound is supposed to be and becomes unable to use these sounds. So hearing aids restore audibility, but the brain still has to figure out how to make use of what it's hearing. So we encourage people to wear your hearing aids all day, every day. Even if you're by yourself, there's still sound around you. For example, hey, it's Ed McMahon, and I've come to your house to tell you you've won the lottery. I know he's deceased, but I always think of him. And again, you're stimulating more than just hearing sound. You're stimulating your brain with information about your environment. Did I leave the water running? There's a strange sound that my furnace is making. So being aware of your environment, even though you're by yourself, is really critical to maintaining independence. And there are training programs like Brain HQ, and they have short-term commitments to you, 10 minutes a day, but long-lasting benefits to complete these online training programs. And it works. You can improve your hearing and noise, auditory memory, and how fast you understand rapid speech. Many people complain people talk too fast. You can improve that skill with these auditory training exercises. And if you play a musical instrument, you'll be happy to know that you will have better hearing and noise than someone who's never played a musical instrument. So 1 to 3 years of music and 4 to 14 years for some really improves the ability to understand over a lifetime. So when they start to talk about budget cuts and getting rid of music programs, it's getting rid of, again, the children's ability to process more than just music. It affects their brain's ability to understand complex listening. So long-term experience of musicians offsets age-related declines, and the short-term computerized auditory training programs offset age-related declines. And these advantages are sustained over time. Join a choir, hear better in noise. Understanding speech and noise, again, affects cognition, neural processing, and life experiences. So it's more than just about how loud does it take for you to hear a sound, it's how do we interface with our environment, with our family, friends, and social settings. And then finally, there's some fun communication training that everyone can benefit from. If the speaker, if you notice someone's not hearing, the first thing to do is get their attention. So instead of repeating the same thing over and over again, get their attention first, slow down, get close to them, rephrase, so say the same thing with different words, confirm the details. Did you say the 5th or the 6th? And reduce the background noise. If the TV's blaring, put it on mute before you even try to talk. I can improve his hearing, but there's nothing I can do about his listening. And if you're the listener, you can plan ahead. If somebody wants to go out on Friday for fish, don't pick 6:30 as the time you want to go, because why? Too loud and noisy. So pick a different time or ask for a quiet corner table. Yes, it's loud, it's high def. So if someone's hearing loss is more significant, it can in fact affect their social life, and the degree of loss can be a significant impact. This cartoon says, "Did you leave anything?" "Yes, dear, a large tip." So again, pay attention to the environment, the background noise, lighting, room acoustics, how far you are from the sound source, and any distractions. So this cartoon says, "Van Gogh has a terrific memory. Everything you tell him goes in one ear and stays there." So we know that treating a hearing loss has been shown to reduce discrimination toward the person with a hearing loss compensation behaviors, pretending you don't hear, or you do hear, anger and frustration in relationships, depression, paranoia, anxiety, social phobias, and self-criticism. So protect your hearing from loud sounds and use your healthy habits. Minimize loud noise, eat good food, practice good exercise habits, and stay emotionally healthy. Connect with your friends and family. So again, the key components of success: number 1, see your audiologist. Number 2, get the right prescription for your specific needs, and follow up with their recommendations for auditory training, communication training. Maybe you need some courses in lip reading. And also, again, take care of your own health, because conditions like diabetes can impact the way you hear. So from here to here, better hearing is better living. And I thank you for being such an attentive audience. It's my pleasure. Now, questions? We have some time for questions.
Where did
She left. I'm sorry.
2019, Trump called up, cut all of this off.
But
He did it back then, not now.
But in addition to that, just this last week, no, April 1st, he removed all funding for infant hearing screening and early identification of hearing loss in children. And while we use some of the monies from the testing cards to pay for our infant screening, that only pays for a portion of that necessary amount to fund that program. So if you'd like to write a letter, it's always helpful to Tammy Baldwin and Mark Pocan and say, you know, please support this program. Opposition to it makes no sense. It's like going back 30 years before we had early identification of hearing loss. So the average age without a program, a child would be identified by 3 years of age. With the program, they're identified at birth. Without, the person has already tried to learn speech and language, their brain isn't connected to voice, trying to get the child to understand what they hear in addition to getting sound to their ears is a real challenge. Early identification really works and has worked, and it's really sad when it's not there.
Can you repeat the question?
Thank you. The question was about Costco hearing aids, and could I comment? And you ask yourself, why do you shop at Costco? What is it you're looking for?
Deals.
Deals, value, price, right? So it seems strange to me that you would go there to get your health care because hearing is health care. So some people shop at Costco because they're looking only at one thing, and that's price. But if they talk to their audiologist and say, here's my budget to help me hear, here's what I can afford, the audiologist should be able to go through all the options and recommend a prescription hearing aid that actually meets your needs. I know that many people shop at Costco and say they're happy. I only see the other side where people come in with their Ziploc bag and say, well, yeah, I bought one there, but I can't hear with it, and what are you gonna do for me? The other thing that I think is even sadder for me personally, I go out to area retirement communities and nursing homes to help people. And if they've purchased their hearing aid at Costco, they have to go back to Costco to get it programmed or fixed. But if they had purchased it at SSM Health or UW Health from any major manufacturer, then I could program it for them or help them. So it comes up often. The third thing that is, I'll just comment and then I'm done, but Costco buys in bulk. So they renegotiate their contracts with these manufacturers. For example, Phonak was a company that they had a contract with. So if you bought a Phonak hearing aid a few years ago, they don't sell them anymore. So you can get them serviced perhaps, but it's again a rotating cycle of what is their best brand. And it doesn't have anything to do with you. It has to do with their best deal. So again, just know what you're getting when you shop there. Also, they have some audiologists on staff and doing some of their testing, but some of the people that you see that are very friendly and nice and helpful may be hearing instrument specialists, so you just need to know who you're talking to. Because I had someone recently who really needed a skilled audiologist to evaluate what was going wrong with the hearing aids that she had. And it was really hard to get that to happen. But that's my personal experience. And I'm sure there are lots of happy shoppers there.
Where do you source your hearing aids from? What kind of companies?
He asked me, where do I get the hearing aids that I sell from? So there's 6 major manufacturers left, and I work with all of them because I feel that it's my responsibility to understand what each company offers and what the benefits are to any given individual. Because every company has something that they do better than the other company for a given person. So think about, again, when you see an audiologist, you're really getting a customized prescriptive device that's tailored for your specific needs. You should be. And many audiologists verify that with use of real ear measurements. So they connect you up to a verification instrument to make sure that you're getting out of the hearing aid what you think should be providing. Great question. So she said, once you're diagnosed with hearing loss and you get help for your hearing, how often should you go back and have your hearing checked? So
Every 3 months.
Yeah, you should have your hearing tested annually. Most of my patients I see every 6 months for a routine follow-up. So at their 6-month checkup, I may clean and check their ears, test their hearing aids, make sure they're still working properly. And then on their annual visit, also check their hearing in addition to everything else. So that's kind of my routine. Thank you, yes.
Does your business, are you associated with like Dean and UW and all of that?
I'm in private practice.
Yeah.
I was in a big clinic many years ago, and then the clinic started to be run by accountants instead of physicians. And I didn't want to treat people every 15 minutes and run them out the door. I really wanted to spend time with people and make sure that they got the help they needed. So that's why I started my own practice back in 1991.
So did you take insurance or not?
It depends. A lot of the Medicare Advantage plans require you to go to certain providers. So you can call, if you look on the back of your supplement to Medicare or your Medicare Advantage plan, you can call their number and say, who are my in-network providers? For example, I'm an in-network provider for courts for their state local plan, but their Medicare Advantage plan, I'm not on their in-network list because that they keep close to home at UW Health.
With have the rechargeable hearing aids.
So the question was about changing those tiny batteries, and do any of the companies that I work with have rechargeable options? Yes, they all have rechargeable battery options. There's a new law called Reese's Law, was enacted very recently, and it made opening the non-rechargeable batteries very difficult. It's very hard to open the packages now. I bought a pair of garden shears to open them. So this was very hard on a lot of people who use regular batteries. And some people have opened a lot of them and put them in a plastic bag together, and that's a fire hazard. So don't do that. If you have a little pill dispenser that you can individually put them in separate compartments, that's okay. So again, depending on your hearing loss, some people may want a regular battery model. There also are little battery magnets that the audiologist can give to people that pick up the battery, so it makes it easier to insert it into the hearing aid. And some of them are very tiny.
Thank you.
No, thanks for the question.
To go to an audiologist?
You do know, Medicare no longer requires a physician referral. They used to. But you may need one if you have a Medicare Advantage plan. You may need a referral from your primary care physician. So you can check with your insurance plan. Again, if you call the number on the back of the card, you can ask them, do I need a referral? It's confusing, believe me. It's not easy. Insurance is, again, something we'd like to change. All right, well, thank you again for coming, and I enjoyed the day. It's so great. Thank you, Janice, for having me.